Sparkling water has been my best friend this year. Let me tell you. Hello friends, my name is Miranda and welcome back to my universe. Today we have more of a conversational one-on-one type video. I really wanted to have a more laid back video for you this week since I have been insanely busy and haven't been able to read as much as I would have hoped to. So today we have more of a this year so far wrap up. The first 2 months of the year, how have they been? How are my New Year's resolutions going? What books have I read so far? Even though you literally know every single book I've read so far if you've been paying attention to the videos I've been posting lately. I will also be going over the books that I have received or purchased so far this year. I have 14 books. That took me way too long to count. I know. I'm aware. 14 books that I have hauled, if you would like to say, this year, so I wanted to talk about those as well. I have read 4 books so far in January and the first half of February. I have only been focusing on 2 series. I usually am always reading multiple books at the same time, but lately I've been go on one book at a time, and I kind of like it. It's very refreshing for me to do that. I usually am so used to being such a mood reader and having multiple books that I pick up depending on my mood. But lately it hasn't been like that, which has been nice because then I can focus all of my energy on just one story and I can get through it faster. So the 2 series that I have focused on is the Silo series by Hugh Howey and of course the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. These are the 4 books right here. The 4 books that I have read so far this year. So the first book I finished this year was Wool, which was right off the bat a 5-star book and is one of my favorite books I've ever read in my life. I have many videos on this series because it does have a second book as well, which is Shift, and this one was also a 5-star read. It goes into the history of who made the silo, how the characters got to be where they are, all that good stuff. This is a very dystopian-like series about a group of people who live in a 144-foot underground silo, and the outside is toxic to them, so they can't escape. Very intriguing, very well written, really like this series. And then we have the other series I've been reading, which has been disappointing to say the very least. I finished Iron Flame right after I finished Wool. This one was very different from the first book in the series, which is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Fourth Wing was fantastic. I gave it 5 stars, I believe 2 years ago when it first came out. And so this was a 3-star book for me. I have many other thoughts that you can see in my review if you would like to have a deep dive. I also have a review on this one as well, Onyx Storm, which is the 3rd one. I just haven't been enjoying this series as much, which is very sad. I really liked Fourth Wing, like I said, and so I just feel like the other books haven't been delivering as much. So I'm hopeful for the 4th book. I am still going to pick it up, and I'm very excited for it nonetheless. However, pretty disappointing. It's interesting balancing out a series that I love and adore so deeply with a series that is extremely mediocre. So, mixed bag for the beginning of the year, for sure. But I have loved the Silo series so much that my boyfriend for Valentine's bought me the exclusive edition of Wool. But just look at this. Oh my gosh. My favorite part is the fact that this front is the dead landscape, right? Also, it has the blueprint of the silo. Isn't that amazing? But then on the back side, it's the live landscape, which I just, chef's kiss. If you know, you know. So now let's talk about all the books that I have purchased this year. This one was given to me by the love of my life. I genuinely think I'm going to reread this series once I am finished with it. I am not a rereader, but Wool will definitely be a reread. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. But I've also already talked about Onyx Storm a little bit, so these are the 2 copies that I own. This is the just regular exclusive edition of Onyx Storm, and this is the Target exclusive edition of Onyx Storm. I did not go through the craziness that is Target on Extreme Release Day. But one of my cousins did. She waited in line and she bought herself one as well as me one. And so she sent it over to me and oh my gosh, I love it. I know that this edition has gotten a lot of criticism from readers for various things. A lot of people's copies were not printed properly. A lot of people are also saying that the artwork is not licensed for the Fourth Wing universe and that she just took artwork online. However, I have also heard other things that have debunked that. Rebecca Yaros actually reached out to the artists and asked for their permission and things like that. I think the artwork is really cool. I have no complaints at all. I didn't really enjoy the actual book itself, which is so funny because I have 2 copies of it, but that's okay. I enjoyed the series overall and I love them. I think it's amazing. I love pretty books. Another amazing gift that I was given back in January is the first manga volume of my favorite anime ever, Yu Yu Hakusho. This is from Japan, so the manga is in Japanese. And yeah, one of my very, very good friends was in Japan at the beginning of this year and she found the first volume for me. So I think that's so cool. I love collecting the first volumes of series. So I now, from Japan, have Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto, and One Piece. So I love it. I also have some random purchases. I have talked briefly about, I think, this series before on my channel. I bought the Powerless duology so far. There's a 3rd one coming out this year that I'm very excited for, even though I haven't read these 2 yet. Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is a young adult fantasy series where there's a lot of power dynamics and there's a kingdom and there are people who are shunned out of the kingdom. And there's something about trials, something called the Purging Trials, whatever that means. I bought these at my local buy, trade, and sell store. It's called Bookman's. I'm obsessed with Bookman's. But yeah, I traded in a bunch of books and anime figurines a little while ago, so I just used that money to buy these. Also in that same day that I bought Powerless, I bought Air by Saba Tahir. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition because it was on sale at my local Barnes & Noble. What do you know? We love a good deal, let me tell you. I don't really know much about this. It is a fantasy as well. As you can see, the Empire, wherever that might be. I believe this was just published last month, so it's also brand spanking new, which is pretty cool. All right, and then I have 2 box sets of books that I have purchased this year so far. We have one that is completely unhinged. And I bet you're thinking, Miranda, what the actual heck are you thinking? I got the original trilogy of the Five Nights at Freddy's stories. These are children's books, believe it or not, all about Five Nights at Freddy's. And if you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, then you don't know a whole section of my life. I genuinely love Five Nights at Freddy's. I've played a few of the games, but mainly I have kept up with the games by watching gaming YouTubers play them. That's genuinely, for the most part, my favorite way to consume the horror genre, fun fact, is through video games. I think horror video games are magnificent. Amazing. Whether you're actually playing them or watching someone play them, either way, they're just so much fun. And Five Nights at Freddy's really set that tone for me. If you've ever heard of the game where you sit in the control room and you look at all these cameras to keep track of where the animatronics are in this pizzaplex, that is Five Nights at Freddy's. So I randomly had the most amazing idea ever that I will start reading the Five Nights at Freddy's books. And make reviews on them. So we'll see when I tackle that. I wanted to start with the first trilogy though, because I think that that is a smart thing to do. I'm genuinely excited about it, which I don't know if I should be proud of that or not. But anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's. And then lastly, we have the books that I am the most excited for out of all the books that I have hauled so far. I've talked about this in my series video, I believe. We have Aragon. My boyfriend and I are wanting to do a very, very, very small book club. And by very, very small, I mean it is just me and him, in which we read through this entire series together. And so I'm really excited about that. We're going to pick up Aragon in March, and I think the goal is to get through each book in a month. I ended up finding this box set on eBay, and even though the box is really kind of destroyed, the books themselves are in really amazing condition. They're first edition hardbacks, so yeah, this was a crazy steal for me. They were pretty cheap on there, so never sleep on eBay. Sparkling water break. And with that, I would love to talk about just this year so far and kind of what I've been up to, how things are going, my New Year's resolutions and how those are looking like right now, because I have started a lot of new things in my life this year that have been really exciting. Of course, the resolution that most of you are probably wondering is how many books I want to read this year. And I'm actually surprised that I never talked about this in any of my previous videos. So I figured it's about time I tell you. For this year, I want to read 30 books. And I know Miranda in high school is probably dying inside a little bit because there were multiple years in a row that I read more than 100 books. However, that Miranda and this Miranda are not the same. I have so many things that I'm doing and that I'm in the middle of, projects I'm trying to tackle, things that I'm trying to get done this year. And so I just don't really have a lot of time to be reading. Sadly, I wish I had all the time in the world to read, but that's not how life goes. I also was in a terrible reading slump last year, so I think I only read 2 books in 2024. Maybe 3, if we're lucky. So I figured 30 was a really good goal. And if I go over, then I go over. If I go under, that's okay. I'm having grace for myself in that, because I have a lot going on, and one of the other big things that's happening this year is that I am going to be graduating with my master's in social work in December. That is going great. My classes are amazing. With that, though, comes my internship that I'm also in the middle of. January was a huge month for me because a lot of things were set in motion in my life. I picked YouTube back up again. I'm still in the middle of my classes. I still have my family and my friendships and my relationship with my boyfriend that I'm all trying to maintain. And on top of that, I started my second internship in my program at school. Now I spend 16 hours a week at my internship, which I have been loving so much, don't get me wrong. However, it's a lot to balance. I've actually been thinking about filming a vlog for you guys of what a week in my life looks like, because there's a lot that happens. Because I have a part-time job as well that I have had for a while now. And so some weeks I feel like I have no time to breathe. And yeah, they're crazy. And crazy is my new normal now. But overall, I've been doing amazing. This year has been so wonderful. I have had so many amazing opportunities, and I'm really excited for my internship and all that that has to offer. But on top of that, I have another huge New Year's resolution that I have been keeping up with pretty well. And that is that I have cut caffeine out entirely. Hence the Waterloo. For a really long time, I have felt and have had the personal conviction that I have been drinking too much caffeine. And I have felt this way for a very long time. And so this year I finally took the opportunity to cut it out entirely. And it has been great so far. I also cut out soda just in general because I have a major history of drinking a lot of soda. Coca-Cola is just my favorite. I mean, come on. I have been doing really good with it though so far. I've been sticking with it. I did have 2 cheat days. One day I drank a Sprite and one day I drank a Coca-Cola just because I literally needed it. But that's what I'm trying to avoid, right? I'm trying to show myself and prove to myself that I don't need a Coca-Cola to get through my day. I don't need to go out and get caffeine for that. So sparkling water has been my best friend. I genuinely don't really enjoy sparkling water, but I have been learning. That's probably the biggest resolution that has been affecting my life. Mainly because it does affect my health a lot, right? I'm not always in this state of jittery or feeling this high of energy, right? Like instead, I'm pretty consistent. My circadian rhythms are starting to get back to normal again. I don't have trouble falling asleep at night anymore. So many different benefits of cutting out caffeine. I'm not shaming you if you drink caffeine. That's not at all what I'm saying. Please do not twist my words. I'm just saying for me personally, cutting it out has been a game changer. And yeah, I'm definitely going to continue not drinking soda. But yeah, it's been a pretty good year overall. Over in Miranda's corner of the universe, I have learned a lot and I've read way more than I have last year. So that's been really fun. Even though I'm a busy bee and it's hard to balance everything sometimes, I have been learning a lot about that as well. And realizing that I do have control over my schedule and over what my priorities are. There are my responsibilities that I can't get out of, but also I have complete control over whether I sit on my bed and scroll on social media for hours or if I take the time to read before I go to bed, right? Like there are so many things that we have so much control over that can completely change our time management that I never really paid attention to prior to this year. So it's been a great year, like probably the best year of my life so far. And I'm really excited about that because it's just the end of February. So I'm very much looking forward to the rest of this year. And yeah, I would love to hear about all of your beginning of the years, what books you have read so far, what you are looking forward to reading, any anticipated releases that you are excited about. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and for supporting me. Please give this video a like, comment, subscribe if you would like more content from me. As always, I love you all. Please be safe, make good choices, and I will definitely be seeing you next week.